I'm super excited to have Alec Littlejohn here with us. He is a Facebook marketing expert. He runs an amazing company called Untapped Revenue. They do awesome things. They are the only ads company that I would recommend outside of what we offer internally. So super, super grateful to have him here. He's going to be showing us how to get more bang for your buck out of your Facebook ads. So a couple people waiting for Megan, Brianna, Dan. Let's get some cameras on and get ready to pay attention. And go ahead and take it away, Alec.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to be here, guys. I woke up this morning all pumped because I haven't done one of these in so long. And typically when I do these presentations, it's in person. So it's new for me doing it online, but I'm really excited to be here with you guys. I'm just trying to figure out exactly how I want to set this up so I can see all your faces here as well as the presentation. So if you see me looking over on the side here, it's because I have all my other monitor here with all the faces set up here. So in today's presentation, what I'm going to go over today is essentially a whole bunch of stuff about Facebook. For most of us that run fitness businesses, Facebook is kind of like this foundational aspect to our businesses. Like for the most part, most people rely on Facebook actually to generate them revenue. Like if somebody's looking to get more clients, they're typically going to Facebook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially break down a way for us to be able to leverage Facebook more and gain a competitive advantage over our competitors, right? So just to give you a little bit about me, so my name is Alec Littlejohn, and over the past 5 years, I've been working in the fitness industry, solely helping fitness businesses develop what we call is the digital Trojan horse method, which is just a fancy way of saying taking a stranger and turning them into a customer, a paid customer. And our key focus with our clients is essentially really kind of getting a hold of their Facebook system and kind of their backend systems as well to make sure that we're actually taking a customer through the proper customer journey and converting them into obviously a member. So over the past years, just to give you a little bit about who we've worked with in the past, we've worked with companies like 9Round, F45. We've worked with yoga studios, Pilates, CrossFit gyms, and then of course more recently, we've been transitioning a lot of our focus and working on helping gyms collect more online clients, right? Because I think with the pandemic and the stuff going on in the world right now, I think everything is transitioning to kind of this hybrid model of things, where yes, we're going to obviously still want to grow our facilities and stuff like that, but we're also going to have a way to kind of attract the people who aren't really ready to start getting back into kind of the typical way or the old way of doing things, aka going into the facilities and stuff like that. And I don't know where everybody else is in the world, but for me, I live in Canada. We're actually back in lockdown again, so all the gyms around our location are closed down. So obviously, depending on your situation, is going to kind of depend on what you kind of have to do to adapt and evolve. Now, I want to be crystal clear about my goal of today's presentation. It's going to take me about an hour. I do tend to go on tangents, but I always kind of bring things back to the main purpose of things. So depending on obviously how in line with the presentation I can stay will depend on how long it's going to be. But I ran through it yesterday, so it should take about an hour. But I'm going to give as much value as I possibly can. And my goal really is to give you guys, as I've said, a competitive advantage by leveraging Facebook's algorithm in a way that nobody really is doing right now. That's going to get your audience to do what you want them to do. Okay. I also want to be crystal clear about something. Last week, I sat on a webinar that was about an hour long, kind of like what I'm about to do today. And it was a webinar that was full of just salesy tactics that was just really annoying. And I hated it. It was probably the worst webinar I've ever been to. And so with watching that, what I wanted to make sure today to do is that I wanted to be crystal clear in that I'm not looking to offer anything. All I'm looking to do is deliver as much value as possible, with the hopes that from the value I deliver, that maybe potentially later on, you would want to potentially work with us. So with that being said, let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. So first and foremost, we're going to be looking into understanding Facebook. So as I've said, so that you can gain a competitive advantage in your location and in the online market as well. We're also going to be talking about Facebook disapprovals and how to prevent them. Recently, actually, I've had a lot of clients that have been reaching out saying, Alec, my ad account just got disabled. What am I supposed to do? And actually, more recently, we had our personal untapped revenue business manager account fully disabled. And I don't know if anybody has had this permanent restriction. They say it's permanent, but it's really not, where they essentially say it's the final decision. You're no longer allowed your ad account. And we're going to kind of go over what you can do to prevent that and get your account back. Then what I'm most excited to talk about is this new strategy we found. We'll be doing it for a couple months, and we're calling it our $1 a day Facebook marketing strategy because it's a very affordable way to leverage Facebook, not only to make your brand stand out among everybody else, but it's also going to help your ads in the long run to get cheaper leads, cheaper purchases. And it's just kind of a method that we're really enjoying right now. And that $1 a day strategy is part of our digital Trojan horse method, which is the fourth thing here that we're going to be talking about as well. So let's get into Facebook, because as I've mentioned already, it's pretty much the foundation of most of our businesses in terms of getting clients. So what I want to get you guys to think about for a second here is, what exactly is Facebook? Because I think when we use Facebook every day, it starts to become this platform that we're just kind of using, and we kind of forget about its whole purpose, right? But when we think about Facebook, it's essentially a platform where we can connect, right? We don't really think of it as a business. At least I didn't for the longest time. But when you actually break things down, Facebook's goal is essentially the same as ours, right? They want to make money from their platform, from their users, but they also want to give their users a great experience. So I want you to think about this for a second, and I'm going to tell you a little story here. So about 2 weeks ago, before lockdown, we had like about two to 4 weeks. I forget how long it exactly was, where we went out of lockdown. Actually, it was probably more like 2 months. And I was back in the gym, and there was this gentleman in the gym, and he walked by me, and he was probably the smelliest man I've ever smelled in my entire life. Not only that, but he was extremely rude to the front desk lady about who knows what. He was messy, and in a time like this, like, cleanliness is really important. So that was just kind of uncomfortable for me. He was loud. He was leaving his equipment everywhere, and I was thinking to myself, like, this person is directly influencing my experience in the gym. Okay. And what I want you to think about is, when we're using Facebook and when we're running ads, our ads are directly influencing the users on the platform. Okay. So think about that for a second. If you're running ads and the users are having a bad experience, they see your ads and they're like, oh, I don't really like this. They skip by it, and they keep seeing your ads, and it's not giving them that good experience. Well, what happens is the same thing that we would do as fitness business owners. If somebody's in our business creating a negative experience for our other ideal clients, we don't want that person around in our business, right? We would want to remove them. But here's the difference. If we let's say I run a gym and I have a member who's just making everybody feel bad or giving everybody a negative experience, I could either remove them, or I could drive up prices, right? I could say, hey, to compensate for your negative attitude and your negative experience, we're going to triple your monthly fee, or whatever it is. Okay. Now with Facebook can't just say, hey, you can't use our platform. Now, eventually, I mean, they can disable your ad accounts, but typically what they do is, Facebook's not going to call you up and say, hey, you're giving our users a bad experience, can you stop? What they're going to do is, they're going to show you in your ad stats what's going on, what's wrong, and they're going to give you warnings like ad disables to let you know that, look, you're not following our policies, you're making our users unhappy. Okay. So I want you to think about that while we go through the presentation, because this is going to be a fundamental concept where Facebook is a business. We need to keep their users happy in order to keep Facebook happy, which will then kind of benefit us moving forward and give us that advantage that I've been talking about. So let's talk about why people use Facebook in the first place. So the number one reason, and I'm going to show you this stat, and this is from Statista. They essentially conglomerate a whole bunch of data from social media platforms, and Facebook being the one of them. But we'll see here in the top, to keep contact with friends and family, 88% of people in the third quarter of 2019 claim that the reason they're using Facebook is to keep in contact with friends and family. Now, I want you to think about something. If you're constantly running ads on Facebook that are just promoting to people, and you're not posting out content that's kind of engaging, that's really friendly and stuff like that, then you're actually doing what people aren't on the platform for. Okay. Now, of course, we still need to run ads, and we want to run ads, but what we want to think about is, okay, if people are on Facebook for this purpose, for the most part, how can we essentially disguise our ads to become part of that 88%? Okay. Okay, so Facebook will favor pages that have lots of engagement and activity. Okay, so for the longest time, I've had clients that they post very infrequently on their Facebook pages, and then they're trying to run ads all the time, and they're wondering why they're not getting good results. Well, Facebook actually favors pages that have a lot of engagement and activity. So that's why typically what people will recommend is having like 2 to 3 posts every single day on your Facebook page. Not only that, though, and I want to tell you guys another story, personal profiles have an impact on business accounts that are linked to them. Okay, just had to take a sip of that. So I want to tell you a story. So actually I think it was last week. Yes, it was last week. I had a client reach out to me. His name is Ryan Waters. He runs Shred KC. And he was like, look, I posted something on my Instagram, and for some reason, my reach has gone down almost 75%. So he was able to tell because he runs his Instagram as a business Instagram. And what had happened was Facebook actually shadow banned him. And the reason they did this is because he has a lot of controversial posts that he pushes out on Instagram and Facebook that talk about Trump, the election, all this kind of stuff. It's very political, and Facebook doesn't really like that. So what ended up happening is because of all this stuff that he's been doing on his profile and how he's been very vocal, well, Facebook went ahead and shadow banned his Instagram account because Facebook and Instagram, they own this. Facebook owns Instagram, but also his ad account from his Facebook page was affected as well because we tried to run ads for his program that he was trying to start. Actually, this Monday it was supposed to start, but we keep having to push the date back because we couldn't get ads approved. Every time I would try to post an ad, it would just get shut down. We'd get it back, we'd get it reapproved, and it gets shut down again. So what I want to make clear to you guys is that your personal profiles actually have an impact on your Facebook. Of your Facebook ads and your Facebook page and stuff like that. Okay, so a lot of people don't realize that. So if you want to have a very vocal voice on these platforms, just make sure that if it's like a controversial topic, to think about it before you post it because it will have a direct impact on your ads. Okay. Okay, so in your workbook, I actually gave you a checklist of things. Now, these are things based on stats that I recently looked up to kind of give you an idea of ways to leverage Facebook's platform to help boost your organic reach on Facebook and also to help with your ads, because indirectly if you're improving your organic strategy on Facebook, it's going to indirectly help your ads. So there's a whole bunch of stats on that first, I think it's the second page on the workbook, that'll give you a bunch of statistics. For example, one of them is 500 million active Facebook story users. Why is this important? Well, this is an untapped area in the market that you can take advantage of. If you're not doing Facebook stories or Instagram stories, you should try doing those. They're going to help increase your reach. Ryan, actually, who I was just talking about with his ad account issue, he actually runs Instagram stories, and we ran a program for him probably 4 months before all this kind of went on and all this stuff happened in his ad account. And he'd been posting stories on Instagram and Facebook, and we probably got about 20 people that signed up for his $200 program just from his stories alone. Okay, so they work really well if you use them consistently. Okay, it can't just be like this on and off thing, flipping back and forth. It has to be consistent. Okay, people are 4 times to 6 times more likely to watch live streams than recorded videos. Now, I mean, in this call right now, we're in live. We're live doing this, right? I'm not. This isn't a recording. We're going to have interaction. We're going to have a Q&A. This is a lot more powerful than it is to just post a recorded video, to post an image and stuff like that. So if you haven't done any live streams, if you're uncomfortable on video, then you're going to want to slowly start to actually utilize that, because not only is it going to help you get more reach on your page, but it's also going to be a way for you to test videos. If you know that, okay, I just ran this live video, it did really well on my page organically, why not use it as an ad? Right? So it's going to give you strategies. Now, I'm not going to go through everything else here, but essentially all these checklists, they're backed by stats. Okay, so 80% of your video should be video based, 80% of your content, because videos perform way better than anything else. Video ads generate 2 times the clicks, 20 to 30% more conversions, and 2 to 3 times higher click-through rates. And not to mention, Facebook gets almost 8 billion video views per day. So that's just going to be a benefit in itself, right? Mobile optimization. Now, this was actually a shock to me because I was obviously doing a lot of research before this presentation. And I didn't actually realize, but 94% of Facebook ad revenue is from mobile. 79% of users access the site only through mobile. That was kind of a new stat to me. I didn't realize it was only like 79% of people only use their phone. And maybe that's just me because I sit on a computer and I use Facebook on a computer. So maybe that number was just crazy to me, but it seemed a little high. And not only that, but this was even weirder. 85% of videos that people watch on Facebook, they watch without sound. To me, that's absurd. Like, I need sound for my videos. So I don't know why people do that, but so this tells us that we need to start optimizing. If we have ads, first of all, they should be mobile ads. They should be optimized for mobile, and they should be optimized for people listening without sound, right? So you want to have captions, and it's very easy to do. Facebook actually gives you a way to automate that, where you can essentially just click a button and they'll kind of create captions for your videos for you, which is really nice. So definitely look at this list. If you can check off a decent amount of these things, that's great. But this is going to be very helpful moving forward. I also just wanted to give you some bonus stats here. So right now, the 65 plus audience on Facebook is actually the fastest growing one on Facebook. So if you have like a silver sneakers program or something that can help elderly people, that is an untapped audience right now. We have a client out in Alberta who runs JC6 Fitness. And he runs a silver sneakers program for 60 plus, and he's getting like $3 leads. Like, nobody targets these people, okay? But they can use your service, right? A lot of them need some mobility functionality work, and if they're not your audience, then that's okay. This is just another stat I wanted to show you guys. Like, video posts, they outperform everything else. And if you notice down here, link posts have the lowest engagement rate by far. So every time you're actually posting anything on Facebook, if there's a link in it, and this includes your ads, if you have a link in your ad, which for the most part, we're all going to have links, then they perform very, very poor in comparison to other posts, okay? And this is going to be important moving forward, because in our dollar a day strategy, we actually leverage this and we kind of reduce the amount of link posts that we're going to be using with our ads, but we're still going to be able to get the benefits from running ads. This is just another stat to give you an idea of what you should be looking at in terms of your numbers. So $1.90 is the fitness industry's average cost per click. So if you're getting a cost per click well above that, then you're going to want to essentially look into your creative, your copy, and try to start optimizing things based on that. Now, of course, depending on your location, if you're targeting online, depending on the radius and stuff like that you're targeting is going to have a factor in this. Some areas have a lower population of people, so you're not going to have a low cost per click. You're going to have a higher cost per click because it takes more for Facebook to get in front of people with your ads. Okay, so let's look at the next steps in getting on Facebook's good side to gain a competitive advantage. Okay, so I actually gave you a list of things. Now, this is going to be particularly important when you're running ads to a landing page, okay, which for the most part we all should be doing, unless you're running a lead ad. And give me 1 second here. I know I'm talking fast, so gotta stay hydrated. So this is important here because this is going to be a checklist that you should go through when you are setting up your Facebook ads. When you're looking into, let's say you have somebody that does ads for you, okay? You should be checking that they have these things. If they're not doing these things, then they're not educated on this topic, okay? Because this is what Facebook wants you to have, okay? They want a funnel privacy policy at the bottom of your page. You should also have this on your website. A funnel cookie notification. And I'm going to show you examples of these in just a second. So a funnel cookie notification is just, if you go to the website, it'll pop up at the top. It'll just say, and I'll show you a picture. It'll just say something like, this page uses cookies to help with our performance. And then they can just close it. But it's letting people know that you're tracking them. And that's something else we should talk about, is that you should have tracking on your landing pages and on your website. So you should have that Facebook pixel. I'm sure we're all familiar with the pixel. And if you're not, then you're definitely going to want to learn what that pixel is and put it on all your pages, okay? Funnel disclaimer. So at the bottom of the page, if you're running ads from Facebook to a landing page, at the bottom, you need to have a disclaimer about Facebook, okay? That's really important. 2 payment methods on your ad account. This is really important because if you have a failed payment at all, then that actually causes Facebook to flag your account if you miss a payment. So if you have 2, it actually stops that from happening, because if one gets canceled, then it goes to the other payment, okay? 3-second funnel load time and mobile optimization. This is pretty important. Based on looking at the stats we already talked about, mobile is obviously the most important aspect. You need to have your landing pages, your website, everything mobile optimized, and they need to have a fast page load. Okay, so if you notice, you can just type in page speed test on Google and then type in the URL of your landing page. And if it's not loading within 3 seconds, you need to optimize that page so it loads better. Okay, responding to comments on ads. Facebook page has recent and engaging content, and then schema and metadata installed. This is a little bit more advanced down at the bottom. Oh, I'm circling the wrong page. Here it is. It's a little more advanced and complex. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty details. It's essentially just like a little bit of coding that you're going to put on your header. I'm going to show you exactly how to get that in just a second here. And then the last thing at the bottom, always follow their policies for ad copy and images. Okay, so on your landing pages, there's stuff like you shouldn't have before and after pictures. As much as they really help conversions, you can't have very clear, this is a person here, this is a person after, they're shirtless, and you can see that transformation. Facebook doesn't like that. Your ads are going to get disapproved when you have that kind of stuff. You can do before and afters, but in a kind of sneaky way. So you have a picture of them after, and then kind of a story of what happened for their transformation. That's okay. But you can't have that before and after picture because it's making a claim that that person who's seeing it can make that same transformation. Facebook doesn't like that. So we want to make sure to follow that, follow their policies. What I truly recommend is you actually take the time to read the policy. As I've said before, Facebook is kind of where we get our clients, right? It's one of the most important parts of our businesses. We need to know the policy so we can follow them. One of the hardest parts about being in the fitness industry is actually coming up with an ad copy that is within the policy, because there's so many little things that we got to worry about. So because of that, I'm going to actually show you an example right now of some copies and what are good and what are bad copies. And just to give you an idea of what to think about when it comes to ad copy, they're very kind of tricky to figure out the perfect ad copy that's going to obey their policies. So I'm going to show you some examples here. So in the top, we see, if you have a headline that says,
Alec, we
Yep.
can't see the screen, dude.
You can't see the screen.
No, we see
Yeah,
you.
just so everyone
Okay.
is going over stuff that's in your workbook, a checklist.
Let me pull that up. That's okay. Here we go. Thank you for letting me know. Appreciate that. How about now? Is that all back up? Good to go? Perfect. All right. So in the top here, we see dealing with diabetes. Okay. So the reason this is a negative headline and why this would get disapproved is because you're implying they have something. Okay. So in fitness, this would be like saying, are you overweight? Okay. You can't say stuff like that. If you're saying, hey, are you overweight? Then you're calling them out on being overweight, right? That's not okay. It has a negative connotation to it. You're implying they have something. Now, on a more positive and inclusive note, join our group for diabetics. Okay, why is this better? It just sounds more positive. You're not claiming they are something, and it's more inclusive. It's like, hey, join our group for diabetics. It's not saying, hey, you're a diabetic, you need our help, right? It's not that negativity towards it. Okay, same with this down here. Treat your anxiety with these helpful medications. First of all, when you're using that in your ad copy, it's very tricky. I typically, especially in the health and fitness industry, when it comes to like weight loss and stuff, I never use it. What I do instead with ad copy to kind of follow policy is use things like I. So I'll tell them a story about me. Obviously, in most cases, when I'm targeting women, I'm not a woman. So I'll just essentially pretend like I'm a woman when I'm writing the story about it, or use somebody else's testimonial. And I'll say, oh, recently I went through this experience. I lost all this weight, right? I'm using it in a way that I'm not claiming that I'm not using you and your, right? So in this example, you're using your, which is, like I said, tricky. And it's also, you are assuming that they have anxiety here. Treat your anxiety with these helpful medications. You're also assuming that they need a medication to help with their anxiety, okay? This one is a little bit better. We have anxiety treatments available. All you're doing is telling them what you have, okay? You're not saying they have anything. You're not calling them out. You're just saying, hey, we have anxiety treatments available, okay? So that's just two little things. And I'm actually going to show you one of our best ad copies later and show you why it's so powerful in a second. Okay, let's go to the next one here. So these are just going to be examples of, that's a cookie banner, sorry, that pops up. Here's another one right here. Very easy to do if you're using any landing page builder. You're just essentially building a little pop-up at the top, and then this button here that says continue, you just select an action on this button to disappear when they click it. And all you're doing is just showing them that they have a cookie policy. This is what Facebook wants to see, okay? When Facebook sees this, they go, okay, they're following policy, that's good. This is the little disclaimer at the bottom that I was talking about that refers to Facebook. So if you're running ads on Facebook, you want to say this at the bottom. This site is not a part of Facebook website or Facebook Inc. Additionally, this site is not endorsed by Facebook in any way. Facebook is a trademark of Facebook Inc. Okay. And then the last thing I'll cover on that checklist is just going to be the schema. Now, I didn't put this in your workbook. Unfortunately, when I made the workbook, it was a couple of weeks before I fully finished the presentation. So for this one, actually, when you could type in schema markup generator online and find one, this is the best one I've been able to find. So if you guys actually want to write down this this URL down here, just the https://technicalseo.com. You can find this schema markup generator, and it's very easy to do. The only thing you need to do is once you find the schema generator on the side here, you click it, and then you're going to select local business. If it's an online business, you're going to select that. You're going to fill in this information, as much of it as you possibly can, and then you're going to copy and paste this code right here into the heading section of your landing pages. Now, I told you I wasn't going to get into the explanation on this because it's pretty complicated, but let's just make it simple. And essentially all it's going to do is it's going to tell Facebook, it's going to tell Google that this is your business, these are your this is your hours, this is essentially your property. Okay, that's pretty much how I think about it anyways. Okay, now this is something that actually happened about a year ago when I figured this out for the first time, and I was kind of surprised that Facebook can do this. But this is getting back to the whole idea of Facebook will not tell you if you're doing something wrong. They're just going to show you stats. They're going to disable your accounts. But what I've actually happened with clients is that when they don't follow policies for long periods of time, your account gets flagged under the radar. You don't even know that your account is getting affected by this. You just think your results are really bad, and maybe everybody who's doing the ads for you just suck at whatever they're doing. But in reality, it can actually be that your account is flagged. Facebook thinks you are this negative, this negative experience for people, right? So every time you put out an ad, people just don't like your ads. So I'm going to show you what I looked at in this ad account to kind of determine that this account was flagged and what I did about it to fix it. So the key thing here is, as I mentioned before, Facebook's not going to call you up and tell you that there's a problem with your ad account. It's going to show you statistically, okay, is this performing well? Do people actually like this ad that we're running? So this is really important, and these stats are always going to be the most important stats when you're looking at your Facebook ads, okay? And I think it's important that everybody knows about these stats, okay? This is your business, right? If you're spending money on ads, regardless if you have somebody hired, you need to understand this because this is where you're making your money, right? So you need to understand all these different components here. I'm not going to be able to get into each little component here, but what I did here is if you look at the quality ranking, and back in the day when I originally looked at this, they used to have a quality score of 1 to 10. But now what's actually happened is they have it in 3 separate parts, and it's going to essentially tell us what's the quality of the ad, what's the engagement of the ad, and what's the conversion rate ranking of the ad. These 3 sections here is telling us, do people like our ad? Okay, if people aren't clicking on the ad, then your ad's not doing what it's supposed to do. So this conversion rate ranking here is not as important as these 2. Okay, so you'll see here that when I was looking at this gentleman's account, his name is Dave. He runs a Fit Body Bootcamp. It's below average, bottom 10% of ads, below average, bottom 10% of ads, below average, bottom 20%. And I went through all his ads in the past year, and every single ad was below. It was about a 3 out of 10 in relevancy score. As I said before, they used to rank it out of 1 to 10, but now they have these 3. And I saw this and I was like, this doesn't seem right. Like, I've run these ads before for multiple people. Why are these new ads that I'm running right now getting such bad results? The click-through rate, an average click-through rate for our industry is about 1%. Cost per click is about, as I've showed you already, statistically, it's $1.9 in the fitness industry. He's spending $4 here, $10, $6, $7, $9, $12, $18, $12 per click. That's awful, okay? This is telling me right here that something is wrong. So the only thing we did is I said, okay, this account definitely has a flag. Something's wrong with it. It's not the ad. It's not the copy. It's not the landing page. You're just not getting people to click on it. So what Facebook had been doing, and this is obviously theoretical, but it makes sense after what I kind of what I did to fix the problem, this all kind of made sense after. But what it was doing is driving up costs, lowering our reach. And when we did get people to see the ad, it was very low quality people. So not people who were really going to engage with our ads in the first place. So the only thing I did was I completely scrapped the ad account and the business manager, created him a brand new business manager, a brand new ad account, ran the exact same ads. And I wish I had taken a screenshot of the ads. But $10 leads after this. Okay, so we changed, all we did was change it. His click-through rate went back up to 1%. Cost per click dropped right back down to about 1.5. It was actually even less than the $2 mark. And it was all fine. Nothing, no other problems. Okay, so how can all of a sudden it just transform that quickly just from making a simple change in ad accounts? There had to have been something wrong with his ad account. It had to have been flagged, right? It was the only logical explanation. So that's something I want you guys to note, is that when you're looking at your stats here, if you have a good click-through rate, if you have a good cost per click, that's great. If your engagement ranking, quality ranking, and conversion ranking aren't very good for long periods of time, then this can happen to you, okay? And that's why what people typically see is their ads start getting more expensive, and they're wondering, why the heck? I'm not doing anything different. And what Facebook is telling us, that actual ad costs are going down. Like, it's getting cheaper apparently, but apparently for everybody in the fitness industry, it's going back up. So why is that? Okay. So I want to quickly scan through dealing with the ad disapprovals and preventing them. I'm going to go through this quick because, to be completely honest, there's not a whole lot that we can do. Okay. The only thing we can do is reach out to them in a polite and nice way. And that's pretty much all I'm going to show you. So obviously this is going to pop up. You're going to see, oh, my ad account is disabled, or maybe you just got an ad disabled. And if it's just an ad, then typically they'll tell you it's your image, it's your URL, or they'll pretty much tell you what the problem is. But a lot of the times they'll just shut down your whole account and they won't tell you anything. They'll just be like, sorry, you don't have access anymore. So what do you not do? And I think this is really important to note. First of all, do not get mad and send them a message with anger. This is actual people that review the ad accounts, okay? So you don't want to send them a mean message. And you also, this is actually, I have nothing to back this up other than personal experience and from other mentors that tell me that this is kind of the best way to do it. You got to wait at least 1 to 2 days before you actually request a review. I have no idea why this works, but it does, okay? That's all I can tell you about that. So what do we do? So what you're going to do is you're going to apologize and send them a kind message, because these are real people reviewing the account, like I said. So why can't we be the pattern disruptor? Because they're so used to getting people being like, I'm so pissed, I hate Facebook, why are you shutting down my account? Just mad and angry, right? So if you can just be like, hey, I'm sorry that my account was shut down. I'm not sure what happened. I think this was the policy that actually caused the issue. Then they are going to be so much more lenient with you towards giving your account back. Okay, so what I did in your workbook is I actually gave you a script that I personally use. I would reword it. It doesn't have to be this long. This is one I sent because they actually restricted my entire account. So that was kind of the script I gave you. So you guys have a kind of an idea of what to give them. So all you got to do is wait a few days and then send them that message that I gave you guys. If you experience this, okay, the biggest thing that you need to know is that if they say, this is our final decision, Alec, like, we're not giving you your account back, it is 100% not their final decision. You can always get your account back. It just takes persistency, okay? You have to essentially, after you, let's say I sent out a review and they tell me it's my final decision, you can't get your account back. I just wait 3 days and then I send another request. And I'll tell you, to be completely honest, that account I still don't have back. I still am following this procedure. I'm sending every 3 days, I'm sending out another request to get my account back, but they won't give it back. And it sucks when you have 25 accounts that you run through your main account that just gets shut down. So there's a lot of stuff that sucks about it, but it's the reality when you're not following policy. So, I mean, it's my own fault for not actually taking my own advice and doing the things that I need to do in order to keep my account open and active, right? So you just got to keep going through the process. There's nothing else you can do. The only better way is to prevent it and prepare for it. Okay, so you always have to have a backup in place, and this is something I've learned now. So right now, what I actually have is, because now that I lost that account, not only do I lose all the ad accounts, but I lose the pixel data that I have spent years building. Meaning that if I want to run ads to gyms, which takes, I mean, a lot of money to go towards like developing this pixel and showing it exactly what my ideal client looks like is now gone. So what I do is I have one business manager account that runs no ads, that just hosts my pixels. So I have all my pixels hosted on a separate business manager, and all I do is I link that pixel to other business managers and give them permission to use it. That's it. So that account doesn't have any risk of being deleted or lost. So I can always keep my data now. And then I have another business manager that obviously runs all my stuff again. Okay, so always have a backup in place. Keep Facebook happy. Make sure you're boosting page posts and have a 10-to-1 ratio. This is a very important number. Okay, so I actually left this blank on the workbook, I believe. So write in 10-to-1 in that ratio there, which just essentially means if you get one disapproval, you're going to want to make sure that you get 10 approvals before you get another disapproval. You want to stay right at that 10% of all your posts that go through, only 10% get disabled. Okay, the rest is 90% gets approved. Okay, that tells Facebook that you are following policy 90% of the time, essentially. Okay, the other big thing here, don't just sell your audience all the time. This does not make people happy, and that doesn't make Facebook happy. Okay, so if you're somebody who only runs ads on Facebook to promote and sell a service, well, then we're going to be talking about the dollar a day strategy in ways that you can essentially not just do that, because that's when you're going to get into some troubles. Okay, so let's kind of move into the dollar a day strategy. Before we do, I want to just do a little bit of a stretch here, because what I learned in school back in the day was one of the worst ways that you can learn is just by sitting there and just kind of staying still for 30 minutes, because at that 30-minute mark, what tends to happen is you start to lose focus and we get kind of groggy. And I learned this in the middle of one of my lectures. And he basically said, everybody stand up at 30 minutes and kind of do like a stretch and get some blood flowing, just so that we can make sure that we're still focused and mentally ready to go through the next phase of this, because this is going to be a lot to learn moving forward here. Okay, so now typically what people do with awareness and attraction, okay, typically they merge them together, because what happens is the first impression that they give people is typically just, hey, you want in on my program? Do you want to get my 10-day pass? Do you want to get my free week trial? Like, that's their first impression for a lot of people, especially on Facebook, because your organic posts don't reach a whole lot of people by themselves. Facebook has made things pay to play, unfortunately. So what typically happens is people's first impressions with their fitness business is, hey, do you want to buy my free trial? Okay, so what we want to do is separate the two and create a way for us to give our first impression as a way of providing value to people. Because if you provide value as your first impression, people are going to like you for that, right? So let's get into the dollar a day strategy and why I think it's so powerful. So typically what happens in marketing is most people focus on which section here. It's typically up here, right? It's just 3% of active buyers. Now, of course, these stats here are not going to be accurate for everybody. Like in your location, you could have 30% of people that are ready to buy. It all depends, right? But typically it's the smallest number of people that we're targeting when we're running offer ads is this 3% of active buyers. And also the 7% that intend to change. Okay, because if they see your ads and they're intending to change, then this might be the perfect opportunity. So typically with ads, we're only targeting about 10%. So why I think the dollar a day strategy is so powerful is because it actually can contribute to this group of people as well. And it actually helps to move people through this experience. So people who are in the 30% down here that are just not interested in your company, that might just not have the need right now. Well, over time, if we do proper marketing, right, we can actually make people interested in our company by making them interested in you, making people interested in some of your testimonials, some of your results that you've gotten people. People who don't have a need, well, maybe they'll get a need for it, right? Maybe they'll see and understand that, you know what, it's time that I get my health and fitness back on track. I do have a need for this now, right? And if what we can do is plant the seeds in the minds of these people over time, then what's going to happen is they'll eventually become active buyers. And because now we have planted the seed in their minds, they're going to think of us first. Okay, so that's what I want to really get across here in this strategy, is that we're trying to kind of target the entire list of people here, not just kind of the active buyers. Okay, and here's what I wanted to show you guys. Now, why I think the dollar a day strategy is so powerful is because what we can do with this is we can leverage Facebook to run video view campaigns, because we know videos work really well. We can get tons of video views for such a small price. Okay, so I wanted to show you this because I thought this was kind of a big aha moment for me when I first ran this. $48 was spent on these videos, and all these videos do is they essentially they're hyper specific to who we want to target. So by now, most of you should know who your ideal client is. Like if you're targeting competitive males, if you're targeting stay-at-home moms, whatever that is, you know your group of people that you want to target. These videos are hyper specific for those types of people, whoever they might be. In this case, it might be stay-at-home moms. Okay, we have a video that's specific for them that calls them out, and that gives them some value. Okay, and what we can do is we can run these videos for $1 a day at the top of our funnel. Okay, so all we're going to be doing is we're going to have select videos that are specific to the needs of the people that we want to reach out to, and we're going to run them for $1 a day. That's it. Okay, and over time, what you're going to see is in this example. Now, I just kind of took the average of all these 6 videos that we were running. The average video length was about 3 minutes. Okay, we spent $48.48. There's 7,000 people here that watched 50% of a 3-minute video. Okay, and if we divide that, okay, we get about 6 cents here. Okay, look at how cheap this is to get 1.5 minutes of consumption. Okay, this is where I think it's the power of this comes into play here. We can get people to consume 1.5 minutes of your content, of you, of your brand, whatever you want to show them, for very, very cheap. Okay, and that's where I think this is so powerful, because now what we can do is our first stage in our funnel is giving people value, is producing this awareness and getting people to know about you. Okay, I think what's happened with society is now we're so used to kind of this instant gratification by having our phone technology that everybody wants to run these ads and make a whole bunch of money really quickly, when in reality what we should be doing is planning for the future, right? Delaying gratification, running these video ads that plants the seeds in the minds of the people that we want in our businesses, and then essentially give them an offer. Okay, so let's go into the strategy here a little bit more. Okay, now I've simplified this down to its very minimum kind of complexity to make it very easy. You can get very complex with this. We can have different layers of videos, but we want to keep it simple. So all we need to do is kind of go through this easy process. In this video, I mean, I only have an hour with you guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over sections 1 and 5. 3, I gave you scripts for landing page and booking page videos, so you have that. I'm not going to be able to go over the funnel pages. So hopefully you guys have an idea of funnels and how to design those and create those. But we're going to start with your offer, because as everybody knows, I mean, it's not going to matter how great your videos are and how great your content is if you don't have a good offer that people actually like. Okay, so let's give you a top-down overview of what this looks like. Now, this is a simple form of looking at it, but essentially all we're doing is we're creating videos. Okay, we're going to create a list of warm prospects that have seen our videos that are hyper-specific, because these videos are targeting, let's say this one's targeting moms. Now we're going to put them in this category, and then we're going to give them specific offers for their needs. Okay, and then they're going to go through the funnel. There's also going to be the follow-up processes, your text messages that you guys are going to send to these people, the whole shebang. But what's most important here is the Facebook ad, okay, the offer that you're going to give them. And I wanted to show you this because, I mean, I like fishing, and maybe some people don't like fishing, but these are essentially lures, and lures are used to bait people, right? Or not people, but they're used to bait fish, right? To attract people. And what I wanted to show by this image is just essentially that, look how many different lures there are, okay? There's so many different things that can be used to attract fish, right? And it's the same for us as humans. We can use different forms of bait, different forms of messaging and offers to attract people. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have an offer that we actually know is proven to work on Facebook. Okay, there's a difference between offers that we use on our website and offers that we use on Facebook. Website offers, people are actively searching for your service. People on Facebook, they're on there to connect with family and friends. We know that from what we already talked about. Okay, so we need to have something that's really, really powerful. And that's why typically I separate like your website offer with Facebook offers. Okay, and here's what we do to essentially find offers on Facebook. So all we're going to do is we're going to let Facebook and their audience, whatever we're targeting, tell us what offer works the best. Now, in this example, I have 5 different offers here. These offers can be whatever you want them to be. Okay. If you want to stick with your Google offer and try it on Facebook, great. Then you can have that same offer packaged in a different way. So you could have a 21-day detox package here for $47 is one of the options, as well as $21. You could also have it called something different, right? So we could do a 21-day slim down, a 21-day hot for Halloween program. We could do a 21-day for $17. Like there's so many different ways. And all we're going to do is we're going to run a messenger campaign on Facebook, run the offers that we want to test to see what one's going to work. And then we're going to let Facebook tell us, okay, out of all these offers, here's the one that we think is going to work the best with your audience, Alec. This is the one. So in this example here, you can see that the 21-day got it for $5, messages for $5. But here's something I want you to think about. Just because it has the cheapest cost per result doesn't necessarily mean that this is the best offer. The reason being is because this one that has 3 messages, maybe every single one of these people actually signed up and is now a member. Maybe all these 5 people messaged you first, but then didn't respond. Okay, so you have to keep that in mind when doing this. It's not just about, oh, this is the cheapest result. It's also about the quality of the actual people that come through it. Okay, so I'm actually going to skip this slide, but the purpose of this is just to tell you that what we want to do when we're trying to hook people in is we don't want to give them all the features of the things that we're giving them. So whatever hook you come up with, if it's 21-day for $21, you don't want to tell them, oh, you're going to get an in-body scan, you're going to get all this stuff. We want to give them the reason as to why they want it. Okay, and I'm going to show you an example of this in this copy. And this is probably our best performing copy we've ever had. And I'm going to tell you why after I just read it here quickly. So 6 weeks ago, I was skeptical. I didn't know if I could do it or if it would work. I didn't know if I'd stick to it. Just 6 weeks later, I feel so empowered. My body looks better, leaner, and tighter. My fitness and flexibility has improved. Now, you see here with this copy, and I've mentioned this already, I'm not saying you, right? I'm saying I, okay? I'm talking about me, a story from me, okay? So it's different. This is why it actually gets approved. I have more peace of mind and focus. It's amazing how just 30 to 45 minutes a day for 6 weeks has changed so much. Now, some of you are wondering, what the heck is that, Alec? That looks so stupid. That is like pointless. Like, are you an idiot? Is this just a mistake? Well, actually, that's a psychological pattern interrupt, and it's one of the most powerful things you can have in your copy. Okay, so I put this in tons of copy because people are reading it and they're like, what? And they just get sucked right back in. So it's very powerful. I actually learned this a couple of weeks ago at a copywriting event, kind of like this actually. But this works really freaking well. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to note here is we're not talking about the features of the program. We're just talking about why somebody would want this. They want their body to look better, leaner, tighter. That's what they want. Okay. Cool. Let's get into creating the videos at the top of the $1 a day strategy. Okay. Now I gave you, honestly, I put that together in the workbook for you pretty quickly. So it's kind of a mess in the sense of it, but it gives you everything that you need in that workbook. Okay. It's going to show you how to find your ideal clients. Now you should already have that, but it's going to tell you how to find your ideal clients. And it's also going to tell you what messaging you should use for them. So it's going to give you a bunch of questions to ask. That's going to help you kind of come up with some messaging. That's going to give you essentially this, what I call is the just the message equation. Okay. Now the message equation is just essentially what you want to constantly plant in the seed, plant in the minds of the people that you want in your business. Okay. So for example here, I help busy people break through their limiting beliefs when it comes to health and fitness and finally develop the lifestyle of their dreams. Okay. Now that is essentially a statement that you could potentially want to use. This is targeting busy people. Okay. So this could be, I help moms. Okay. This could be, I help whoever it is that you're helping. Okay. That specific category of people. And then you want to tell them like what it is you're going to do to help them, like what it is you typically do. And you're going to have that at the beginning of every video that you create, because that's what you want people to think about. So that as soon as this busy person, for this example, is thinking, oh, you know what, I need to like get my health and fitness on track. Oh, that's right. I've been watching these videos of Alec for the past little while. Maybe I'll reach out to them and work with them. Okay. So, and this is really important to remember as well with this $1 a day strategy. It's consistency that matters the most, because the more you're constantly pushing this out, the more it's kind of going to get internally driven in all the people who live around your location or who are around your location or around your business that are seeing this. Okay. I'm going to actually skip this slide, but the idea here with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if you've ever seen this before, is to, when you're creating videos or ads or anything, is you want to figure out where people identify. So are people coming to your business because they need to help with their self-esteem? Like, is it because they really need to lose weight? They feel like really slow and lazy. Like, is it a self-esteem thing? Is it belonging? Like, is your community just so amazing that you want to spread the word about your community and get people who also want to feel that like family vibe? Is it intimacy? Maybe they want to look sexy when they're naked. Like maybe that's their reason. So maybe you should have that in your videos to attract those types of people, right? It's just something to think about here, okay? Now you're going to develop your script, okay? So you're essentially going to create the video script for your $1 strategy. You're going to introduce yourself and what you do. So that's going to essentially be that equation, okay? So back here in this message, I help busy people break through their limiting beliefs about health and fitness and finally develop the lifestyle of their dreams. That is essentially my introduction here, okay? And then I'm going to introduce a problem. So this, when you're coming up with these videos, these problems can be whatever you're seeing the most problems come up with your current clients. If you know most of your clients are stay-at-home moms, let's just stay with that, and that they can't get rid of that belly fat, then that's a perfect problem to bring up. Then what you can do is you can tell them why you're bringing this up. So I'm bringing this up because I had this client come in, her name is Karen, and she was telling me how 3 weeks ago before she joined the program, blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm saying? And then I always add in here, tell them a story, because stories are just the most powerful thing when it comes to anything, right? It's how we can kind of pull out emotion. And I'm going to show you a quick example here. But before I do that, the last thing you're going to want to do is give them actionable things they can do. If you can actually give somebody in a video something actionable that they can do that's going to produce them a result, now they're essentially going to, every time they get a result from that, they're going to be thinking about you because you're the one who gave them that. Okay, so now when they want more of whatever it is that you gave them, some more help, they're going to come back to you again. Okay, and this is how we create these fans. Okay, these people that truly love your business, that want to stay and be a part of your business, is just constantly giving them so much value that it changes their life. Now I'm going to show you a quick little video. I don't know if the sound will work. If not, let's just play it and we'll see, and you guys can tell me. Can we hear that? No? No? Down? Okay. That's fine. So what you can do actually is in the workbook, I've created a document and I put 3 videos that this gentleman made. Now you can see there's this big banner and there's this stuff calling out moms and you need to hear this. You don't need this, okay? You don't need to be fancy. When it comes to content, videos and stuff like this, you don't need to be fancy. You know, it's actually funny. Creatives are probably the most important part of an ad and just posts in general, and the most ugly, the most pixelated videos, the most authentic do the best, right? Over my 6 years of marketing on Facebook, the weirdest, most strange videos that I could never think would do well have done the best. And it always surprises me. So the thing I can say about when it comes to videos, always test it, always look at your stats. You don't need all the fancy stuff. But one thing I will say about these videos that are in the workbook that you guys will get to watch is there's sound in the background. And for some reason, when you add sound to like a story that's like really emotional and stuff, I mean, if you've watched movies, like watch a movie without sound, and I'll tell you it's not the same experience, right? Same concept here. If you put a little bit of sound in the background, that's when you can really pull out emotion and get people to take action on what you say. And when you can kind of make people feel something in your videos, that's when you're going to get a lot of engagement. You're going to get a lot of people thinking about your business, and it's going to become more powerful. Okay. So let me just go back here for a second here. Now I know there's going to be questions on this, and I'm happy that we kind of get to do a Q&A because there's probably a lot of stuff I've skimmed over that you guys probably need some more help on. But what I wanted to do now, where is this slide? Oh, here it is. Okay. So what I want to just kind of reiterate here is what we're going to be doing and what the goal is of this $1 a day strategy is we want people to consume our content. We want to give them value so that the law of reciprocity kicks in, right? If you give somebody to something, they're going to just innately want to give you something back. It's just human nature, right? So if we can develop these videos, and they're only for $1 a day, right? You don't need 5, 6 videos. It doesn't need to get complicated here. You can have one video that you run for $1 a day that you think is really powerful and attracts your ideal client. And all you need to do is just keep it running. And what I suggest people do is that if you can have 5 videos, okay, that's $5 a day. And if you can run those all the time, and all you're going to do is you're going to look at all the stats at the end of, let's say, the month. You would have spent $30 on each video. You're going to see, okay, statistically, this video is performing the best. So what are you going to do? You're going to remove a couple videos, replace new ones in there, and you're going to just constantly recycle in and out videos, just delivering more value to people over and over again, but you're always going to have them running. And I want to tie this back to the beginning of this presentation when I talked about Facebook and how it's a business and we want to make people happy. If you're always running a $1 a day strategy, you're keeping Facebook people happy, which keeps Facebook happy. You're going to also be boosting so many different videos and posts that it's actually going to help with that 10-to-1 ratio we talked about. So if you do get a disapproval trying to run an ad that's kind of on the edge, well, you have so many approvals that Facebook's like, oh, like these guys always obey, it's fine, like let's just keep them going, right? So it's going to help you in the long run, just building, kind of leveraging the Facebook system and just building your brand awareness at the same time, right? So not only is this going to help you with your offer, because now you're giving so much value that people are going to be like, yeah, I think I am ready to do this. It's going to increase the quality of the leads that come through your funnel as well. Okay. And what's crazy about this, and I'm going to tell you this story, is there's always two types of clients that we work with. We've had clients that already have brand awareness, that are already known. And when we run ads for them, they always crush it. Okay. Without kind of this step up here. And then the clients that don't have any brand awareness, people don't really know about them, and we run these ads and it's kind of like their first impression into the marketplace, they always never do as well. Okay. And the reason being is because the company with more brand awareness does better. People know about them, people hear about them, they have better word of mouth, right? So when we add this, in some cases, we don't even need to retarget people who've watched this video. We can just simply run ads while we're running these at the same time, not even retargeting, and your results are going to just be better because of that. Okay. So just to reiterate, what you're going to do is you're going to create your hook, right? You're going to test that with messenger ads, right? You're going to design your funnel pages. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can just be a video. I've given you a video script for that landing page video that you can use. Then you're going to have an opt-in. They're going to opt in. You're going to have some messages that get sent out to them, right, when people go through the funnel. But then you're going to create the content for the landing page and booking page. Those are those videos I just mentioned. You're going to create some pieces of video content for Facebook that you're going to run for $1 a day. You're going to run these 5 different videos for $1 a day, like I just said. No links on those ads at all, just the video. You can have a little headline that talks about what you're talking about, but no links in there. Remember from the beginning stats we talked about, videos with posts with links in them, posts with links in them do far worse than just videos. And then we're going to create a retargeting ad to people who consumed over 50% of those videos. Okay. That's the structure. Okay. That's the last step, is just retargeting the people who have watched the videos. And all you need to do with this one too, is you'll, because the audience will be so small for the first little while, because you're only running it for $1 a day, it's going to take a while for this to build up an audience that your ad, so that your ad is actually getting traffic towards it. So you can only run this at about $1 a day as well. Right. And then over time, it's going to optimize. Okay. So that's essentially the $1 a day. Now, this is a strategy that is delaying gratification. It takes a while. Okay. So it takes a little bit more time. If you want to speed up this process, you can turn it into the $10 a day marketing strategy or the $20 a day marketing strategy. It's up to you guys if you want to speed up the process. Okay. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is I kind of mentioned pretty much all I wanted to talk about with the $1 a day strategy in the time that I have here. Let's just scan back through here. So now I want to kind of tell you about the digital Trojan horse method. Now, I'm curious, actually, this is a new name. We kind of came up for it. And what we're trying to do with this name is we're trying to make it like an appealing name that kind of sounds attractive. And it's something that you guys are going to want to do as well with your offers. It's like have a name that creates curiosity where people are like, interesting. What does he mean by digital Trojan horse? Like, what does he mean? Like, how are we infiltrate? Like, what is he talking about? Right? Like, create that curiosity, and you want to do that as well. But essentially, what this is for us is it's our full system that we utilize, and I pretty much given you the entirety of the top 2 components of our strategy with this. Okay, so the awareness is essentially letting people know that, I mean, you're around, right? That's the $1 a day strategy. That's the whole purpose of creating those videos at the top of the funnel, is to show you, hey, like, this is the value I can bring to people. This is who I'm trying to attract. and then having the proper offer. Okay, I see so much that people just want to try this offer instead of actually testing to see if it has some validity to it, right? We want to make sure that we always testing these offers. But you don't want to have a million different offers, right? That just gets confusing in your business. You don't want to have 10 different offers. So what I typically recommend is test it, find one that's working, and then try to repackage that over and over. Okay. Effective lead capture. Okay. This comes down to your landing page. Okay. When people opt in. Okay, then you need your resilient systems and processes. This is something that has to do with automation. So when somebody opts in, you're going to send them texts. Okay, you're going to send them emails. You're going to follow up them. You're going to be very personal with these people. You're going to send them a personal video message in some cases. Do you know how powerful that is? Hey, Laura, how's it going? Like a personal video, that would be so amazing. Okay, that increases conversions a ton. Then, of course, masterful sales. And what I wanted to really mention in this slide here is that awareness, proper offer, effective lead capture, none of this matters if you don't have systems and processes in your fitness business that is going to make things a smooth process for people, right? You want it to be frictionless so that when they opt in, it's easy, it's not a headache, right? You also want to make sure that you have a system in place for closing, right? You need sales, right? Without sales, then I mean, you're not going to make any money, right? So that's the problem. Without these two things that I've talked to you guys about today, you're not going to be able to follow through with the rest of them. Now, you're probably wondering, does this actually work? And I want to show you of a recent case study. Now, I hate showing testimonials on videos like these and in presentations because a lot of the time people show these really kind of these testimonials that are just not really realistic for everybody, right? Some cases, like it's like, oh, you had one like home run and now you're going to just showcase that all the time. Like that's great, but like let's be realistic here, okay? Not everybody's going to be able to get those kind of results. But in this case, I wanted to show you the dollar a day strategy and give it some credibility because I mean it's working really well. This is Jonathan DeJean, owner of Crew Fitness. And what I wanted to show you here is we started the dollar a day strategy kind of around the top here. And I wanted to show you that the cost is dropping. Now, of course, we see the $10 one here that increased in value, but overall, like if you look at it, now this only has 11 messages here. This one has 12 leads here. But if you look at the ones that have about 100 plus, right, it's all going down in value. And the most recent one we did, and this is after about 2 months of doing the dollar a day strategy, just running boosted posts, he's at $3.48 per lead right now. And I'll just show you what his results were in this actual month. So we had 172 people that opted in. This thing is blocking it, so I can't even read it right now. 68 booked appointments, 43 trials, and 17 won. And this was from January 1st to December 31st. Okay. So it's working really well for him. Okay. And that's all I really wanted to show you in terms of that. Now, as I mentioned, very full disclosure at the beginning, I'm not looking to sell you guys on anything, but what I did want to do at the end of this is give you some more added value. I know I covered a ton of stuff, so I will have a 24-hour booking pass for you guys. It's in the workbook as well as it'll be on the slide here to get a free one-on-one strategy session where I'll essentially go through, audit your account, and just deliver more value for you guys. And that's pretty much it. So if you guys have any questions and stuff like that, Laura, I don't know how you do the Q&A section here.
Yeah, I think people can just unmute themselves when they have a question, or you can raise your hand.
Yeah, I also have, yeah, go ahead.
So when you're doing your dollar a day,
Yep.
reach ad, are you doing it like reach ads, boost, like messenger? What type of ad are you?
Oh yeah, great question. So are you talking about, so the videos, it's always going to be video view. Okay. Yeah. So when you're running the dollar a day strategy, let me go back to it. So the videos at the top of it. So when you're running, let's say the video for a mom or whatever, it's going to be a video view campaign. So you're essentially optimizing to get as many views as possible. So you're trying to get it in front of as many eyes for the cheapest price you possibly can. So always do a video view optimization for that. Great question.
All right, thanks. That's
No problem, Daniel.
Hey, Alec, RJ here.
Hey, RJ, how are you?
Question for you. When you run your multiple campaigns, so for instance, you had like a 5-day pass, 7-day pass, 10-day pass, 21-day, et cetera, and you said that you run all the campaigns at the same time as a
Yes.
messenger ad.
Yes.
So, and then you just after 7 days or whatever, you just pick which one is actually working, and then you just transfer, like, how does that work?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, that's an awesome question. I forgot about adding that actually. So thank you for reminding me. So actually what you want to do is so you do want to run them. So I typically run them all five at once because we can get it done quicker. Now, obviously that can create a little bit of confusion because now you're going to have people messaging you about 5 different offers, right? Which can get confusing. So in some cases you might want to run them one at a time if that's going to be a problem. Typically it's not really though, because you're not doing it for a whole lot of time. Typically it's about $30 per, but what you want to make sure you do is you're not running like a dynamic ad or anything like that. You want to essentially separate them all into individual campaigns and make sure they each get the same amount of impressions, because you want to make sure it's a fair test. Because if you have one that only has 500 impressions and another with 1200, you're going to have skewed results, right? You want to make sure that you're testing fair. They each get about the same amount of spend before you decide. But here's what I'll tell you, like you'll see here in this example, the 2 weeks for 17 here, at $13, I mean, I've been doing this for so long, I can tell when one's not going to be a winner. It hadn't got a single lead yet at $13 spent. I know it's not going to be a winner here. So I just turn it off. And that's another benefit to doing them all at a time, is that you'll start to see, okay, out of all of these, this one's probably just wasting my money. I'm going to turn it off. Okay. So yeah, that's a great question. So aim for about 1,000 to 1,500 impressions when you're doing that. Okay. Did I answer all of your question, or was there another part that I might have missed?
I have another question, but I don't want to jump in line here. How often, so let's say that you bang out this 2 weeks for $17,
okay,
and you notice that it's not a winning campaign. Would you kibosh that campaign and then switch it out and try like a 30-day campaign? Like, how often are you switching your offers if they're not producing?
It's a great question. So are you saying, like, let's say I ran this test and the 2 weeks actually won? You're saying like it won and now I'm using it?
You up and ran the 2 week for $17, and then after you spent X amount of dollars, it just wasn't a winning campaign. Now, do you shut that campaign off and then do a different campaign, or what is your strategy after finding a losing campaign?
Okay, yeah, it's a great question. So if I know it's losing, then yeah, I'm going to test another offer, right? Because the thing is, and I think this is something to note here, is there is going to be an offer that works. And this is where I kind of get into once you found it. So for a lot of people, and for the longest time, it has been that 6 week, the 6 week program. I'm sure you've seen it. Everybody runs that, right? But what people do with that is it's the offer that works for their location. Like there's nothing they can do to avoid it, so they run it. So what they do differently when it stops producing the same results is they don't necessarily go and kind of restart from scratch. They just try to repackage it. But here's the thing: if you get to a point where you're now repackaging this offer over and over and over, and it's not doing anything, it's still not working, I would go right back to square one. I would literally retest it again, because something's changed, right? Something's changed in the market. Is it something with my ad account? And that's why understanding Facebook is really important, because you need to know, is it something with my ad account that's causing this issue, or is it something more to do with the offer, right? Is it really the offer that is the problem and the bottleneck here, or is it something else, right? But yeah, that's a great question. So typically if it's not working, I'm going to repackage it. If I know for sure it's not working, I'm starting from scratch and essentially retesting. It's only about $100 to test this out, right? So it's very small amount of money for the reward that you get in knowing that, I mean, it has some validation behind the offer.
So I want to jump in here to kind of review. I think what Alec is recommending, we've been talking about same trap, different bait, which is the repackaging. So Alec wants you to do this test so you can find out what your trap is. Once you have your trap, you can do the test again to see which bait is going to work.
Correct. Yes,
and then
absolutely.
Using that same trap until we've determined the trap no longer works.
Yes.
To give an example, I used the same trap for 2 years before it stopped working. So it can be a long period of time. You're not going to have to do this test very often.
No. Yeah. I typically do it once at the beginning of working with a client, and we stick with that for the majority of working together.
So I got a question, Alec. Just so I can understand exactly what you're doing here. Now, this screen with all these, you have these 5 different campaigns, right? Or these 5 different programs, these 5 different offers.
Yep.
this is an ad, right? You are
Correct.
in that ad here. These are not 5 different campaigns. So you're running a campaign just to test which offer is going to work, right? So I
Correct.
just want to make sure like
Yep.
everybody
Yep.
understood. that,
One
and I
campaign,
understood
5
that.
different ad sets. Yep. And you can test as much as you want. And honestly, that's one of the most important parts about Facebook to begin with. When you're trying to figure out offers, any ads, even the videos that I've been talking about, you want to just constantly test, right? Testing is the name of the game. And once you find something that works, scale it. That's when you want to run with it, right? Awesome.
I just have a question. So this is one campaign with multiple ads in it, but what about when you find a winning one and you're running your paid ads? Because I know it's changed a few times. Do you recommend
all the time.
one ad per campaign with like an individual ad spend per ad, or one campaign with multiple ad sets and then a lot of ad spend on the one campaign?
Great question. No, great question. And yeah, there's a lot of confusion with that. But what I will say is this, and hopefully this kind of answers your question. When you create an ad at the campaign level, all the optimization comes from the campaign level. And the reason I bring that up is because I think it's important, because I see all the time in ad accounts that people create so many different campaigns. If you create one campaign and then you create ad sets and you have multiple ad sets in there, that's typically how I do it. Now, for the most part, all you really need to do nowadays, because Facebook has gotten a lot more efficient at doing things, where there's dynamic ads now that you can use, and there's also campaign budget optimization that'll essentially kind of distribute your ad spend into the ads that are doing the best. Now, I'm an old timer, so I've been doing I say old timer, but I mean in the sense that with Facebook, I've been using it for so long that I still do it all manually myself, just because I prefer it that way. I like each campaign getting the same amount of budget to really test. But you can run campaign budget optimization and it does work. I've seen it work. I mean, it works both ways. The only downside to that and campaign budget optimization is just a little button you flip on at the campaign level. And that's where you set up your daily spend that you'd want to go out. The downside to that is that some of your campaign or some of your ad sets, won't get the same amount of budget. So what'll happen is Facebook will think that, let's say, the 21 day is the best offer, and it'll push all the money into that one, leaving the other ones with only like $3 spent on them. So it doesn't give a really fair test. But what I would typically say, for just in general, if you have a winning offer and you're just running a campaign, you have one campaign, you go into your ad set, you have one ad set, and then in that ad set, you can run dynamic ads, which just allows you to essentially test multiple images and creatives within that ad set. And then anytime you want to change things, duplicate the ad set and then change that ad set, but keep it in the same campaign, because like I said, it optimizes at campaign level. Now, the only time you want to switch to a new campaign is if like the ad sets in the campaign that you're currently utilizing are not performing well. Because what you would want to do then is kind of reset everything, because if it's just not performing well, then you don't want to keep in that same campaign because it's obviously optimized incorrectly. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you.
No problem.
I got another question, Alec. RJ here.
Perfect.
So when it comes to posting on your fan page, you said that there's a correlation between posting on your fan page and how well your ads are performing. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, for sure. So in terms of kind of like your activity on Facebook, so think about it like this. For Facebook sees all of us as, I mean, pretty much numbers, to be honest, numbers and names, and all of the things that are connected to our personal account. So your business page is one of those things. And of course, your business page is what allows you to essentially to pretty much run the ad. So what happens is when you're running an ad on your ad account, you're connecting your Facebook page to the ad, right? So this is typically recommended for pretty much anybody who's starting up a new page. You want at least like 5,000 likes on a page before ever running any ads, because it doesn't have any, like Facebook doesn't know anything about your business, right? So if you have constant page engagement and page activity, then to Facebook sees that and they go, okay, this business has a lot of engagement. People like this business. So what Facebook is now thinking in itself, like think of it as like a business in the sense that it's like, this is a positive person. This person is pushing good messaging. This person has a lot of followers that is really uplifting people and just that overall positive kind of person for their platform. So what happens is when now you're running ads that are linked to that page, Facebook knows that, okay, this person runs this page and has all this activity, all this engagement. We want to help push these ads to more people so that we can get that same type of engagement, get that same type of interaction that he's giving other people on his page. Does that kind of make sense? It's kind of like it's your page is a direct reflection of your like how you are affecting people on their platform. Does that make sense? Cool. Good question.
I have a question going back to the very beginning.
Awesome.
When
Love
you
it.
were talking about the you, right?
Yeah.
So I so often in my verbiage, in my posts and everything, talk about the benefits for them. And I
Right.
use, and actually I've been doing the opposite of what you just said. And I will write something and put in as many yous and yours as possible.
Mm.
And maybe I've been doing it all wrong.
Is this on your page, on your Facebook page?
On my Facebook page, yeah, and my business page.
Okay, so what I will say, and this is where Facebook gets a little confusing. On your page, you can put whatever you want, to be honest. Like you can put
Okay.
your, like that's okay. You don't have to really worry about the policy on your page. It's just
Uh-huh.
if you want to go ahead and then boost that. Okay, if you want to ever like push that to more people, that's when
Okay.
you're going to get into some problems. So what I would recommend doing is trying to change that verbiage, because what I would recommend is you're probably not getting a whole ton of reach. You might be, but if you're not getting a whole ton of reach on your posts, then if you can essentially change the verbiage, stop using you and yours so much, and like tell stories in
Okay.
kind of a different format, it'll allow you to boost those posts for about a buck a day, and you'll get so much more reach on those posts just for running it for 3 days. Like I tell clients this all the time: if you have a good organic post on your page,
Yeah.
okay, and you know it's doing really well, if it has you and your, then I would probably avoid it. But if you could like rephrase it and make it sound good, boost that for $1 a day for 3 days, and
Uh-huh.
you'll see the difference in how much reach you get, and you'll be shocked, right? For just
Okay.
$3, right? Because
Awesome.
Facebook's made it pay to play. So definitely think about changing the verbiage and starting to boost some of that.
And that was to my next question, the best post to boost.
Oh, right. The best
what
posts.
are they? Yeah.
What are the best posts to boost? Oh, great question.
Mhm.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
if we look at Facebook stats, it's always going to be a video post. So
Okay.
what you can do is, if it's on your page, if you're talking about like page growth on Facebook, the best things you can do is probably Facebook Lives right now.
Okay.
Right. As I mentioned, there's a stat, it's like 4 times more likely people are to watch that if you go on live. So yeah, that's probably the
And
best thing you can
can
do.
you
Videos
boost things on your personal page? I've never tried, but can you?
on your personal page, no. So like if just my personal profile, you mean?
Yeah.
No, you cannot,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah, because that's
wish.
like where my members often engage the most. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
No problem.
Any other questions for Alec?
I have a question. So you said to not run ads unless you have 5,000 likes. So with that, what is the I'm at like 4317. So
That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. So that's kind of just a rule of thumb that I've heard. I mean, typically, are you getting engagement on your posts?
Oh yeah.
Okay, then that's fine. If you have, so here's the thing. If you have a ton of likes on your page, but very small engagements, that's not going to work. If you have a tight knit community that's very engaging on your posts and stuff, but it's a small number of likes, that is totally fine. And you know what? I actually forgot to mention this, but Facebook is actually removing page likes. So this is something that's up and coming. So page likes will no longer be a thing. It'll actually be follows. Yeah, they're getting rid of page likes. So the only thing you'll see on your page is page followers. I'm not sure why, but I guess it's kind of the same trend with Instagram and stuff where they took away like seeing all the likes. I'm not sure, but yeah. So that's something to keep in mind, is that those likes will be disappearing anyways. Followers are what's important. And also on your pages, make sure people have clicked your notification bell so that they're getting notified when you post, so that they actually see it. Because I think right now the average percentage of people who see your posts that follow and like your page is like less than 10%, which is horrible. Like, you work so hard to get these people to like your page, they like it, and they're not even seeing your content. So awesome.
Top question, Alec. What's working right now?
Oh, that's a great question. So what's your situation? So in regards to what exactly?
Well,
Like,
I'm
what's working in regards to like just ads for fitness
Oh, yeah, yeah.
studios, for like Pilates, like what in particular?
I don't think Laura's on here. Oh, she is. So we do have a Pilates, but let's say gyms. Most
Okay.
people in this group here are kind of doing online and
Okay, so like a hybrid model.
in person. Yeah.
So gyms are so they're still open, so you're getting people in. So are you doing, so what we've been doing with a lot of our clients in a similar situation, because I mean, some people are still scared, like they just don't want to come in, and engagement rate and stuff like that's low. So what we're typically doing is, with the dollar a day strategy, I think what you need to do, and everybody needs to do this, is you need to have some content always running on your pages. Okay. And the reason I bring that up is because I just think it's so important that you create that brand awareness. So for one, I would say that's definitely working. I showed you an example here of it actually in action, actually working. And this is when I was suspecting the lead cost to be higher because of obviously the situation right now, but in reality it was lower. So $3.48 is ridiculously low. And like I said, I kind of got him on the testing program of this to like start running the video ads first, but I mean, it's worked really well. For him, his offer that he runs is actually, he runs a CrossFit studio, and let me actually look at it. I think he's running right now, it's like 50% off. Like he doesn't run any of kind of your traditional ads that you see, like 21-day program or whatnot. He actually runs like just a discounted rate. But what I will say about him is that he can do that because of how well his brand is known. So people know like they're going to get his program for 50% off. That's a steal, and it's still like $150. So I hate saying this, but it definitely depends on your location and what's going on around you. For online programs, I think the biggest and the most important thing that you can give people is a test run of it. Like, you can't really avoid that. Like with online programs, it's like people just they're not willing to pay $100 and whatever unless they've seen it, they've experienced it, and they enjoy it. Right. And typically with your rates that you can charge, it's difficult to get more than like $200 for an online program I'm seeing when running ads to it, unless you have like really good sales and the program is just really phenomenal. But there's a lot of work that goes into running a program and charging that much online. For the in-gym stuff, as I was mentioning, I think like it's coming up with a test, because I showed you that we test 5 different offers. I've had gyms with every single one of those different offers that works for them. Right. So I think it's just kind of figuring out what that is for you. I know it's a shitty answer to give just because it's not kind of very direct, but I will tell you that my top performing clients right now run 28-day programs and 6-week programs. I know people hate hearing that, because I mean, nobody really enjoys the 6-week thing from what I'm hearing anyways. But they run those programs, and what we do for those programs is we actually run purchase funnels. So people have to pay online to get them. So the funnel's a lot more intricate and a lot more advanced. And I still, like with any type of funnel, with any offer you're giving, I still always like recommend the videos that you want to be posting. But we run the like a 6-week program for $100. They pay online for it. If they show up, they do. If they don't want to pay for the in the gym for $100, they can get the online for $50. That one's working really well. I think there's about 70 signups we have right now for the in the gym with that, and that's Chris at Evolve Fitness. And then Ryan, as I mentioned, we tried to launch his program for his 6-week program, but his ads just couldn't get approved because he's very political in his profile, if you remember me talking about him. But we are relaunching it, and he charges like $300 for his program, and he gets about 60 to 70 signups for that. But he has a solid brand, and this is where I'm always very particular in when I give it advice on this stuff, because if your brand has a lot more brand awareness than somebody else's, your ads are going to perform different. You're going to get better results with certain things. So it's very case specific, which is unfortunate, but that's kind of the long end answer to your question.
I appreciate it very much. I booked a strategy call with you next week, so.
Beautiful. Yeah, and that's why I offer that, right? Because my answers are going to be very like, it depends. Like if I can look into the situation, your ad account, what's going on your page, that kind of stuff, then I can get a better idea what might work. Regardless, you'll still need to test. Like it's inevitable. You need to do that, right? But hybrid, I think hybrid, giving people options is always going to be the best, but not too many options. You don't want to have all these different things they can do. We have very short attention spans. You want to give them 2 options: online, in the gym. They're pretty much the same program, but they're just a little difference in costs and stuff like that.
Love it.
Perfect.
Any
Does
last
any-
minute? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, does anybody have any last minute questions before I get off here?
I just wanted to say one thing quick. It's not a question, but Alec, I learned a bunch from you, and I just want to let the rest of the people know Alex don't want to like push and sell himself, but I'll do it for him. So if you're thinking about working with him, when I met Alec, he brought 58 people into my gym like the first 3 weeks, right? Your pockets will not hurt if you are in a position to make any type of investment, if you have no idea what you're doing. So I can't say enough good things about him and his company. You remember me telling you, dude, you got to shut the ads off. We can't do it anymore.
I do.
And I had no systems and processes in place until I met Laura, which I was able to not just get them all on the front end, but retain them on the back. So yeah, I
That's
mean,
important.
just having someone in your ads account every single day, watching every single move pays off, guys. So yeah, Alex the man.
Yep.
Thanks, Alex.
Yeah, no problem. And I just will add on to that though. It is like regardless of having somebody in your ad account, you guys need to know the ins and outs of your ad accounts as well. Typically, like Todd was a client of mine. The reason he's no longer a client is because now he knows how to do it. And that is where people need to get to. Like it sucks that you have to do all these components, and it's great having somebody to do it. But my real goal is to get people to a point where they can do it themselves with ease, right? It's just they know what's going on, they can fix it and they can change it. Now, if you don't have time outsourcing that, obviously it makes the most sense. But you want to be able to at least look and know, okay, these are the numbers. This is the situation. This is where my money is going, right? It's very important to know that stuff. Awesome.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. We put the link in the chat, also in our Accelerator Facebook group chat, to book a call with Alec. This
Beautiful.
personally was one of the most helpful Facebook presentations that I've sat through. If you guys can help me give Alec some love, if everyone can unmute yourself and just give Alec a little whoop whoop on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Awesome. We've got
Awesome.
our lunch break now. We'll see you back in about an hour at 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.